Metascore 89, that is Pokopia. A game critics praised, casual fans bought, and long-time loyalists now discuss like they are filing charges. This is a public custody battle over a hit. Half the crowd says Pokopia is the fresh start the franchise needed. The other half says it is a $70 mobile game. Both sides sound absurd until you look closer. Then both sides start sounding uncomfortably right. In the gaming world, an 89 is usually a victory lap. It's the score that says, "We did it boys, buy the champagne." But for Pokopia, an 89 feels like a police report. It's the kind of score that half the internet is using as a shield and the other half is using as a target. Rest assured, there's no AI here. Just a real person with a mic and a questionable sense of rhythm. If you like the game, you call it a fresh start. If you hate it, you call it a $70 mobile game that finally learned how to use a fork and knife. Both of you are right. That's the problem. It's a good game covered in a thin, sticky layer of corporate greed. It's ambition, but the kind of ambition that had to be approved by a guy who wears a fleece vest to a wedding. Let's talk about the management class. These are the people who look at a toy and wonder how to make it billable by the hour. They are conference room necromancers. They take something with a soul, like a cute monster game, and they start probing it with a pricing stick to see where the money falls out. They hear the word cozy, and they don't think relaxing. They think vulnerable. They hear community, and they start sketching a value loop on a whiteboard. They are the reason your favorite hobby is starting to feel like a part-time job, where you pay the boss for the privilege of working. These people treat joy like a defect. If you're having too much fun, without clicking a confirm button on a store page, they feel like they've failed their shareholders. They have turned Pokopia into a forever game, which is just industry speak for a game that refuses to let you go to sleep. Then there is the game key card, the fake physical release. Imagine driving to the store. You're excited, you want that new game smell. You buy the box, you get home, you peel off the plastic, and you open it up to find a cartridge-shaped shrug. There is no game on that card. It's a plastic placeholder, a physical ghost. It's like ordering a steak, opening the box, and finding a note that says, "The cow is currently being downloaded, please wait 4 hours." That is not a steak, that is a promise of a steak, and you can't eat a promise. Companies do this because they want the shelf space. They want the nostalgia. They want you to feel that warm, fuzzy, premium box comfort, while they provide absolutely none of the benefits of physical media. You don't own that game. You're just hosting it on your hard drive until Nintendo decides they don't want to pay for the servers anymore. Collectors aren't whining. They are reacting normally to being sold a box full of disappointment. If I buy a physical object, I expect it to be an object, not a ritual, not a ceremonial piece of plastic that does nothing but take up space. This is the era of the cartridge shrug, and it smells like a scam. And before anyone even got the game home, we had the White House font fiasco. If you told a gamer 20 years ago that their cute monster builder would get dragged into a political street fight because of a logo style, they would have asked you to take a drug test. But here we are. Somebody used a font that looked a little too much like a MAGA hat, and suddenly, the cute monster game was ideological shrapnel. The company had to sprint away from their own branding, like they were running from a swarm of bees. It was a clown show. It was a branding disaster. It's the perfect metaphor for modern gaming. You just want to build a house for a turtle, but first, you have to survive an online culture war over typography. It's exhausting. It's stupid. It's the future. Now let's talk about the hero of this story, you. In Pokopia, you play a ditto transformed into a human. On paper, that sounds inventive. In practice, it's a horror movie. You are a human-shaped mimic with occasional nightmare elasticity. You aren't a person. You are a puddle of pink goop trying its best to pass as a teenager. It gives the entire game an uncanny valley energy. You're walking around this cozy world, but you know, deep down, that if you tripped and fell, you'd probably just turn into a pile of jelly and slide under a door. Fans of the game say it's whimsical. I say it feels like someone trapped the T-1000 in a lifestyle sim. It's an accidental metaphor for the game itself. It's a copy of a better game, trying its hardest to look like the real thing, while its skin occasionally slides off. The most annoying part of all of this. The core loop actually works. The building is good. The habitat logic is sharp. When you build something in Pokopia, the world actually notices. It's not like Animal Crossing New Horizons, where you spend 40 hours decorating a beautiful void, while your villagers wander around like underpaid improv students trapped in a furniture catalog. In Pokopia, your island has a purpose. It functions. It makes Animal Crossing look like a prototype from 2005. It embarrasses the competition by actually being a game instead of just a digital dollhouse. And that's why the greed hurts so much. Because the game is actually good. If it were trash, we wouldn't care. We only get mad when something worth loving is treated like a vending machine. But then come the timers. Oh, the timers. 15 minutes for a fence, hours for a building, a full day for a Pokémon center. on a premium $70 console release. When people complain about this, the defenders come out of the woodwork. They start talking like cult deacons. It's a slow life game. They say the waiting is part of the atmosphere. No, stop. Do not dress a mobile game timer in a cardigan and call it soulful. A delay is not deep just because there are flowers in the background. If I have to wait 24 hours to use a feature I already paid for, that's not pacing. That's digital constipation. This is straight mobile game logic. It's designed to stretch progress, normalize waiting, and train you to come back every day like a pigeon hitting a lever for a pellet. It's brain rot. And it's happening on a console that costs as much as a used car. And how do you fix the waiting? Currencies, grinding, chores. The life coin is the heartbeat of this game, and it's a heart that needs constant transplants. Once a cozy game starts rationing your progress through currencies and repeated tasks, it's not a cozy game anymore. It's a spreadsheet with a soundtrack. Slow life is supposed to be a rhythm. It's not supposed to be the software politely wasting your afternoon because it didn't have enough content to fill the space. There is a massive difference between a relaxed pace and a synthetic delay. Pokopia crosses that line every 5 minutes. At a certain point, the defense of these mechanics starts sounding like a hostage negotiation. If you just do your chores for 3 hours, the game will let you have fun for 10 minutes. No thanks. I have a real job. I don't need a digital one where I pay the employer. Then we get to the trading specialty systems. This is where the Web3 light smell starts to get really strong. Nobody is minting NFTs here. Nobody is selling Squirtle receipts on a burning server farm. But the shape of the idea is there. Regional scarcity, reproducing valued objects, turning your cozy island into a tiny offshore market where you flip items for an advantage. Suddenly, you aren't thinking, this would look nice in my garden. You're thinking, what can I print and trade to maximize my yield? The tone shifts. The object stops being part of a world and starts being a unit in a spreadsheet. It teaches you to view a cozy world through extraction logic. It's a rehearsal for a much worse future. It's a test balloon to see how much market thinking a Nintendo audience will tolerate before they start throwing rocks. Players aren't paranoid. They are literate. They've seen this movie before. First comes the friction, and they call it flavor. Then comes the exchange, and they call it community. Then comes the limited time event to keep you hooked. And then, one day, the premium store tab appears, with a smile so wide it should count as a threat. Every bad habit in the industry has turned gamers into pattern hunters. When we see a seasonal event for a specific monster, we don't see a fun update. We see a test of the retention architecture. We see the walls of the maze being painted. We aren't crazy for expecting the worst. We're just paying attention to the last 10 years of gaming history. On the Switch 2, Pokopia looks great. It's sharp, it's clean, it's 60 frames per second. It's the version of the game that should have existed from day one. But the better hardware didn't fix the game. It just removed the mud that was covering up the problems. When a game runs poorly, you can blame the machine. When a game runs perfectly and still tries to waste your time with mobile game timers, you have to blame the people who made it. The Switch 2 just makes the corporate fingerprints easier to see. The weirdest part of the whole story. Omega Force helped make this. The people who make Dynasty Warriors the kings of hit 1,000 guys with a sword somehow helped make a cozy builder. And you can feel it. The systems connect. The progress has shape. The builder DNA is actually smarter than almost anything else in the genre. That's the real tragedy. There is genuine talent here. There is smart design. There is a version of Pokopia that is a straight-up 10 out of 10 masterpiece. But that version was smothered in the cradle by a committee of people who think fun is a metric you measure with a ruler. This all comes down to the efficiency fallacy. Management believes that if they can cut costs, increase control, and stretch out the playtime, the outcome is objectively better. They think games are pallets in a warehouse. They think as long as the numbers go up, the game is a success. But games aren't pallets. They're cultural works. They're emotional. When you sell a fake physical edition, you aren't being efficient. You're being an architect of asymmetry. You keep the money and the marketing, and the player loses the ownership. The gains rise to the top. The losses roll down to the player. That is the efficiency of Pokopia. Finally, we have the infinite content paradox. This is the fantasy that more loops equals more value. More events, more currencies, more reasons to check back every single day. But players don't experience infinity as a gift. They experience it as a chore. The more a game turns itself into a perpetual cycle of maintenance, the less each visit feels like a choice. You stop inhabiting the world and start servicing the machine. Your island isn't a home anymore. It's a vending machine that asks for polite obedience. That is why people are mad. That is why the Metascore doesn't tell the whole story. This isn't just another fan tantrum. It's a fight over what games are allowed to be. Is a cozy game a philosophy, or is it just a disguise for a timer? Is physical ownership real, or is it just a rental agreement with a fancy box? Keep laughing at the fake cartridges. Keep mocking the timers. Keep dragging the Web3 light ideas into the light so they can shrivel up and die. Because this isn't just about one game. It's about defending human intention from algorithmic rot. It's about making sure the entire medium doesn't get rebuilt as a smiling vending machine that mistakes your attention for rent. Nintendo and the management class want you to think this is the future. It's up to us to make sure it's just a bad memory.